Hi, hello, and welcome to the library. I don't know how we stream anymore. This is lost knowledge. I hope that you're doing fine. It has been such a long time. I think it has been it has been like 3 weeks since we have been streaming. So a lot of things happened since then, and maybe at the same time, nothing. So yeah, I am very happy to tell you that we are starting streaming again with a wonderful heat wave. We are back into the heat wave in France, and I think it's like for 1 week. Like it's 36 right now. It will be 38, 39 later during the weekend. So I'm really happy to be here, really happy to suffer from the heat while having to stream. But this is all right. Not really, but we keep a positive mental attitude. Well, I hope that you will, be better, feel better later, today, this week, whatever. Life is hard, but we keep going. An eternity is but a moment. It kind of is, and it's always a matter of perspective. So, what happened in the past weeks? I don't know. I kind of took my break from streaming at the moment where everything was going, really weirdly in the Twitch environment, also for video games. You might have heard about the whole Visa and MasterCard trying to censor games on Steam and itch.io. So it's still ongoing. People are calling, Visa, MasterCard, Stripe, and so on to change things. It has been like the case for a few weeks now. There has been, I don't know, the anniversary of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombing. So a lot of very interesting, let's say, events at memorials and stuff. Pretty heavy, but I think pretty important right now as we are seeing a lot of, difficult things. On a better, let's say, side, I mean, this is very personal, but of course, I was in vacation, I saw some friends. I think it was nice to have a little bit of, I don't know, a break from staying at home, from spending my entire time in books and stuff. I wish I could have walked a bit more, but it was not really possible when I was visiting my friends. I don't know. It was interesting also, they live in, a smaller city than where I am right now. And you have this interesting mix of being in a city, but still being very close to, nature and stuff. So that was kind of relaxing without being too far away from the world. Missed all that for a booming summer. I mean, I wish I could have walked more as well. And hi, May, I hope that you're doing all right. I think you're streaming a bit later, right? I will say I took 1 week of vacation, and the rest was kind of dedicated as much as I could to working. So we can talk about that also a little bit. So the 2.0 model is in progress. This is looking very nice. I have talked a lot with my artist, and I think it's just like very, very nice. There's a lot of very smooth communication and revisions, corrections, and I think like it was like, it's still, you know, ongoing, but it was such a treat working with them. The model is very fine. I cannot show anything, but I'm very eager to show you the result in, you know, a month and a half. I've been working on the activities for next year, but next school year in September, October. So I am currently writing the script of the video about fishing and rivers. So I was, to be fair, like working on that just before going into stream. I was reading a bit more about the Tokyo bombings and the reconstruction after the war. So pretty, again, heavy topics, but I think it's kind of like necessary to get a grasp on the overall topic. I was also preparing things about food. We talked about that before my break. So things are lining up in a very good way, but I will be very, very, very busy. Hi, Kali. Everyone is here. This is very nice to have all the chatters assembled. I hope that you're doing very, very fine, Kali. I wanted to spend more time. I wanted to talk to you, but I was so busy. I'm really, really sorry about that. You know that, like, you shouldn't trust me when it comes to scheduling things. You might go on a break, but we will be waiting. To be fair, like, I was still in my break, but like it was very fun to see you do your 12-hour endurance stream. I could only come at the beginning and a little bit like at the end, but also I was lurking because I was also doing things. I'm really, really happy for you. This was very, very nice. I've been absurdly busy, but just about done with busy time. So it's like when I was, when we were streaming before break, you were like, oh, I'm back I'm done with school and stuff, so this is time to rest. And you tell me that you have done the same thing as me and you have been like overworking as well. I mean, what can I say? But yeah, if you're less busy, in the month, I'll try to chime in a little bit because I don't think I will stream too much this month because I want to work on projects and we are pivoting a bit away from video games. So yeah. Bookkeepers, the bookkeeping gang, the bookkeepers assembling. I mean, I'm always very happy to see you in chat, all of you. That you are nice people, so it's very nice to hang out with you. By the way, today we are finishing the third case of Trials of Innocence. I think I still have like a good understanding of the case, and that my memory hasn't slipped in the last 3 weeks, but we'll see. It's crazy that some people do 12-hour streams on regular. I think this is like, you have to be like kind of insane, to be fair. Like, obviously, I think there's like a difference in mindset. I don't think if you do that like on a regular, you're high energy during the entire time. Like for me personally, I would say that I wouldn't mind doing like 12 hours an endurance stream, but I want to keep it like occasional because if I want to have like the same energy as a regular stream, you cannot like do 12 hours. Like there's some like insane downtime. Maybe you're playing games and you're not commenting as much. The people that can do like 12 hours like on regular, with high energy, I think like there are very few of them, and I don't think this is very healthy either, to be honest. React streamers, you are probably very right. I think it's mostly that. But you also have like people that are really, 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 you know, good at it in general. Like I was watching a bit more of HoloLive during my break, and oh yeah, I forgot that some people there could do like 9 hours like back to back to back, and then collabing, you know, the same day. This, I don't know, HoloLive is just like a place where people are just, they love being overworked, they love being busy. It's kind of crazy. Very much hope you can relax more soon, though. I mean, if you're talking about me, like I think that's kind of like why we're taking things easy this month. Like I don't think we'll be streaming 3 times per week. This will probably not happen by virtue of I don't know why my playlist kind of like, okay. By virtue of me being like a bit too busy, and I don't want to stream too much during like the summer slash you know, heat wave. Why can't I put like the, oh, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, it's kind of like weird also because like I know that the 2.0 model is coming soon, and I don't want to start new things when we'll get like, you know, when we are in the transition towards like the 2.0. I don't know, I was talking about that to some people about like what do I want to do for the 2.0, and the answer is probably like nothing. I don't want to bother with like a reveal stream or like a redebut stream. I think it will be like very casual. Like I will start the stream with the 1.0 model, and then I'll just like, you know, change the scene to the 2.0, and that will be it. I'm too lazy, I think. Or not too lazy, but like not interested in like putting too much time into that. Streaming contributes to the heat wave by making your PC a radiator. I think like for today, it's kind of like okay because we're at the beginning of the heat wave, so like the whole building hasn't had the time to, you know, soak all the heat. So for now, I think it's like pretty manageable, but like in 2 days, I will probably die. The marketer in me is crying, but I get it, it's a lot of work. And it's like, you know, if I had nothing to do, I would probably, you know, do the marketing. But like, writing the script is insane. Like the research right now is insane. The WoW redeem, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. We are getting there slowly. It was the 7 redeem, right? So 3 more redeems, or maybe less than that. I can't remember. Whatever. But yeah, like writing a script, like yesterday, for example, I started working just on the script at the beginning of the afternoon, and well, there were some breaks, and also like I took a nap, I played with some friends, but like I stopped working on the script at like 1 a.m. I think I spent like at least 6 hours working on the script. And it's like, I want to get the video done, published, soon after I got the 2.0. So unfortunately, like, I'm kind of like bottlenecked by the release of my 2.0, and I cannot like focus both on like scripting, working, and doing the research, and then also doing the marketing. And it's also like, this doesn't work. This doesn't work, Ellie, sadly, because you need to increment automatically a counter by redeeming it. So yeah, and like I'm also like very it's like, will it work, like doing a redebut, doing things like properly? I will just, you know, post things on Blue Sky, and leave it at that. You know, just pictures of the 2.0 model, maybe a video or something, but that's the extent of it. Like also I know that like not being on Twitter is detrimental to like growing by virtue of like refusing to use like one of the channels that is helping growth. But what can we say? Worth a shot. You cannot like, I am watching you, I am monitoring you. You cannot like hope that it will work, but like good try, I guess. Twitter drains you so much though. I mean that, and you know, like politically Twitter, this is like an insane space. I still go to Twitter sometimes because like Japanese people are not on Blue Sky, so when I'm doing research, sometimes I have to go on Twitter. But yeah, this is difficult. I will say I have an account for Miyabi on Twitter. It's just not used. It's just a placeholder. But yeah, I'm glad I'm not a streamer, so I can stay off those platforms. It's hard because like there's like a vicious cycle with like the popular people staying on Twitter because that's where they have all their audience, and because of that the audience is not moving to another platform, and then at the end of the day everybody is staying on like Twitter. So I don't know, I just don't know. Like we'll see what I do for the 2.0 because I think it's like it's a good model. I do think that it can work. It will grab the attention. I just need to see how much I want to do with it. But having like at the very least like a live 2D model, it will help me create like more interesting like thumbnails and stuff. So we'll just see. I only began using social media when I started. So I'm like, people actually use these apps as normal people. I mean, I did. My normal account, let's say, is kind of like a professional account. I had the same one on Twitter, but this is an account that is kind of like, you know, half of it is personal and half of it is for work. So like I'm reposting things about my research topics. I'm talking to people that are in certain circles, you know, professionally. And it also helps me create professional or semi-professional bounds. But I do not use, you know, social media for, let's say, you know, rambling about like my personal life. It always is pretty focused on my professional activity. I mean, like besides streaming. And I tend to use social media as like an aggregator for news, basically. It's like I follow people that are very, you know, specifically interested in a topic, and they will either like write or like repost things around this topic, and it helps me like pass through the news more easily. So I follow newspapers, I follow people talking about Japan politics, in the academia and stuff. And yeah, this is basically for me like a shortcut to just, I don't know, getting involved in international news, I guess. Rambling about because you better call your lawyer for that too much. I mean, you have like some crazy people using like social media as well, and I think like it's you know, you do what you want in your life, but like for me it's hard to understand like what's the point of like social media if you're not exactly, you know, a content creator, or if you're not talking about your job. But again, we are kind of like relying on normal people to follow us, right? When we are producing content, like we need normal people to use social media. So I don't know. And it's like, if like the person that you like a lot is on social media, then, you know, you will just follow them, and it's like a good, it's a sneak peek into what they do as well, because it's a bit more, you know, personal than, I don't know, articles and stuff. I don't know. The streamer pyramid scheme. I mean, this is the only way to stay kind of like alive, right? We need people to watch us to some extent. Else things are a bit hard, I think. But that's kind of like the thing. It's like I know that like I should use social media a bit more and like share more things there to create some sort of like, you know, traction, to get some engagement. The problem is that like I also use my personal account, and I think like I use my personal account more than my streaming account, and this is like still my big you know, interrogation. Is like, do I need to merge those two accounts? Do I need like to stop using my, you know, professional identity and kind of like rename my account, like, you know, sort of like doing a redebut of like my personal account as Miyabi? It's kind of like difficult to say, because also like the people that, you know, are following me on my personal account are not exactly the people interested in what I do as a content creator, as a streamer for now. So a bit difficult. You have become increasingly ALE coded over the last 6 months. It's like, is it a good thing or not? We just don't really know. Okay, is that all the yap I have in me? You know, as a pre-game stream? Probably, unless like you have another crazy topic, but I don't know, like 3 weeks, it's like a lot of things also have happened. It's just I can't remember everything, you know. So sometimes it's not that important, so it just slips out of my mind, and I don't know. This is the problem with taking like extended breaks. If you take 1 week, then you will remember everything, and it's like perfect to make like discussion. But 3 weeks is probably too much. Some identities just get abandoned because it's hard to keep up with even just one. I think like my problem when it comes to that is that like I have way better traction, I have way better engagement with my personal account. It's like you know, streaming is taking like a lot of my time and stuff and doing those projects, but it's just not working for now. And like, yeah, sometimes I'm talking about like manga, and I'm talking about Japan, and I'm talking seriously about politics, and I'm like, this is not exactly things that I can do or that I want to do like on my as Miyabi, let's say. So it's a bit difficult. Like if I had to abandon one identity just based on like the engagement that I have, I would have to abandon Miyabi, which is like a bit unfortunate. And it's like, again, it's not, you know, it's not pointed, but like there is a very deep, I think, distrust over like, not distrust, but unwillingness to talk about politics in streaming and among like VTubers. It's always like, and I get it, like sometimes you don't want to talk about politics, right? But it's either you have the ultra political streamer, VTuber, and they will really make that their identity, like talking about like, you know, current topics, and it's perfectly fine. And then you have like the opposite spectrum where people are like no politics at all on my stream, because I want this to be like a space that is very positive, and I don't want to bother with like, you know, reality or things like this. Her own political blue sky account, oh my god. I used to follow a lot of people that had like, that would like roleplay their cat on the internet. Like this was really, really funny. I used to follow like, not used to, but like I follow like university like teacher that has a cat, and like she would roleplay the cat as like this sort of like, you know, academic but also a little bit like silly character. So it was like pretty funny. But yeah, to go back like to the topic, it's like you have one of the two extremes, and I think it's hard to find people that are willing to like play in the middle ground. Being like, we can talk about politics, but like I'm putting, you know, limits kind of like case by case, discussion by discussion, and then we go from there. And I'm in a weird spot where like I don't think I wish I can like hang out more with like VTubers and stuff, but like I have trouble doing that because I don't think like I click very much with like the, you know, gaming centric like aspect of it. And well, but this is me also doing a bit more like science communication. And I mean, like, if you work in humanities, then you need to talk about politics. It's kind of like necessary. And also like I have an issue, which is that I want to keep my account kind of like corporate. And I'm kind of like refraining myself from like commenting too much on the news. I did that a little bit, but that was also kind of a mistake. I think I did a thread on like the rice price crisis in Japan, and I kind of like went not deep, but like, you know, reasonably deep into the topic. And it was like, first of all, like nobody cares in the people that are following me. And second of all, I was talking about politics. Like I had to explain kind of like the policies in the last decades from the Japanese government. So it was kind of like a loaded thing. And since I want for reasons to keep my account like a bit corporate, I'm not sure if I can really do that. I have no issue doing it like on my personal account. As Miyabi, it's a bit complicated, I think. You make a good point. I've actually been thinking about that lately. It does feel like people usually fall into one end of the talking about politics spectrum, or another, don't really see a middle ground. Yeah, all right. Well, first of all, thank you for being here. It's very nice to see you, and I hope that you're doing all right. And to kind of like bounce again, like on your point, I think like most people will be very willing to talk about certain politics, and especially like, you know, I see mostly people on Blue Sky. So you have like obviously a lot of LGBT streamers, and I think everybody will be very happy to talk a little bit about like LGBT inclusivity and stuff on stream. But they probably won't go into like actual like policies and stuff, which was funny because when people were kind of worried about like Twitch enforcing ads that might be related to the IC, like a lot of streamers were like, I don't want to talk about politics, but I'm forced to do so because like it's literally like impacting me right now. And I'm like, but it was always impacting you. It's just that like you could like close your eyes. And it was very funny seeing a lot of like, and again, it's not pointed in a bad way, but a lot of people that are like no politics on my channel having to do like, oh, I hate talking about politics, but I need to, you know, write this message. And all those people's like probably, or, you know, progressive people that just don't want to talk about those things on stream. And I do understand why, if you want to make a very positive like environment. But yeah, I think it's a losing game, because like at some point you will be forced to talk about politics, and like I don't think it's a sustainable way to like be no politics at all. But like that's my opinion on things. I do think that there is things you could do if you wanted faster growth, but all of them involve quite a lot of extras, like clips and involving yourself into popular topics, etc., which is really not for everyone. I think so. And also, like, you know, it's kind of like the big thing with streaming. It's like, do you want like a fast growth? And probably you don't want to. Especially if it's through, you know, like social media engagement. You will probably have like a lot of people following you both on social media and on Twitch. But it's very hard, I think, like when you have like this engagement bait, let's say, extras that you're creating, it's hard to convert them into actual viewers, I believe. Especially if you're into clips, if you're into like instantaneous content, versus, you know, more evergreen content, which is like long form, not long form, but like at least traditional video editing. And so what's the point of having like a fast growth? Personally, I think that, you know, I'm always attracted to this idea, but I know that it cannot work. It's not sustainable. So like I'm happy with my slow/inexistent growth right now, because I know that like what I want to do is like my big projects. Like the video that I'm making for September/October, this is a very, you know, it's meant to be an evergreen video. It's one topic and you can watch it like immediately. You can watch it like in 2 years. It won't get outdated. And that's how like I want to function, since I want to pivot into like science communication. But I know that this is like a path that is a lot of work for very slow growth. But I am gambling in the fact that like those type of contents is better for like viewer retention, probably. You just say it was your evil alter ego. I mean, I don't think I have an evil alter ego. I mean, I think it's myself. It's just me. I have embraced it already. I don't know. I don't really censor myself like on stream. There are topics that I don't want to talk too much. I think if we're talking about, you know, politics on a very pointed topics for like half an hour, yeah, I will try to like bring the conversation elsewhere, but I don't mind talking about politics. Maybe I'm already evil Miyabi. I don't know, maybe, you know, like evil Miyabi is like maybe 2.0 Miyabi, you don't know. At the end of the day, politics permeate everything. We can pretend it isn't there, but it's something we need to seriously talk about sooner or later. And I think especially, you know, in our circles, like we can't, as VTubers at the very least, or streamers, we cannot, I think it's, let's say it's pretty clear, you know, in the big VTubers, like what's the current state of, you know, politics. It's like we have a lot of bad apples. It's like, there's something rotten in the Kingdom of Denmark, by the way. Like, we don't need to talk like in details about that, but we know that like most of like the popular successful streamers, they have a community that you probably don't want to have, and you probably don't want to hang out with those people in real life, is what I mean. And I think it's like the fate of wanting to be kind of popular on Twitch and as a VTuber, right? It's like you will attract certain people, especially if we play with the anime aesthetics and stuff. And because of that, like this particular sphere, the VTubing, even though there's like an incredible variety of people and you know, if you hang out on like Blue Sky, you will be surrounded by very nice people on average. I don't think you can escape the topic, especially when, you know, you're a VTuber and people will ask you in private if they know that you're VTubing, they will ask your opinion on certain things that they see because it's what has been showing up in like YouTube recommended videos and stuff. I think like we will never play also Trials of Innocence today because we're just yapping, but I want to finish the case today. We'll see. Like I'm always like prompted by people to talk about certain topics. It's like, have you seen this particular drama with this particular VTuber? And I'm like, yeah, obviously I've seen it. And I kind of like need to explain to them that like it's a very big thing and that you have a lot of different situations, a lot of different contexts, and then not everybody is insane in the VTuber scene. And just by virtue of that, I think like you will have to talk about politics. We cannot let's say things clearly. We cannot like ignore that we have like, you know, a lot of Nazi VTubers right now, and that people are watching them. We cannot ignore that. You know, I was talking just earlier about like Visa and MasterCard. Removing like not safe for work content from like video game platforms, that's something we cannot ignore because that's literally, for a lot of us, that's literally related to our craft. We need to play those games, and the artists that we are commissioning for our models and stuff and assets, a lot of them are also doing like not safe for work commissions, and they have been basically like shadow banned from all those platforms. So we need to take a stance. And like I do get the this is like an escape from reality, and I want it to be untainted. But like it's only an escape from reality until your particular stream gets affected by it. And then it's like, oh, maybe we need to talk about politics because no, I'm the one targeted. There's like this interesting like poem about like the resistance in France that begins like, oh, first they were coming, you know, for the communists, but I was not a communist, so I don't care. And then they were coming like for the religious people, but I'm not religious, so I don't care. And then they were coming like for, you know, homosexual people, but I'm not gay, so I don't care. And they were coming also for the resistant, but I was not a resistant, so I don't care. And then they came for me, but like there was nobody to help me. So like my what I mean is that like as kind of like what you said in your message, like it's not about like talking always about politics, but it's like this blanket ban on politics. Personally, I do not like see what's the actual point of it, I will say. I think it's like slightly, not delusional, but it's like delaying the inevitable, let's say. It can always be ignored until it happens to oneself. Yeah, exactly. That's why you always fight tooth and claw. I mean, again, I don't blame people. I want to make sure and say again, I do not blame people for going like no politics. Like for me, no politics is kind of like you take like a blanket ban to be like safe, and it mostly applies to the chat more than to yourself as a streamer. And like I think most people, especially, you know, the blue sky progressive like streamers, they will be happy to talk about it sometimes. But it's just like one of these rules like in the internet, like no politics, and everybody has taken this rule. copy and paste, and I don't think anybody really believes in the no politics thingy, to be fair. Maybe may grow slow, but people stick around, and I'm very grateful for that. I know, like, I'm a bit like, a weird streamer. And hi, Cyber on YouTube, by the way. What was I talking about? I can't remember. No, I'm very thankful for, people sticking on the stream, because like I think I'm a weird streamer. Like I'm a bit crazy in an unusual way on the internet. And like people listen to me yapping in real life, but normally I don't really yap about like all those topics, about like rivers, about anthropology, about history. It's like, I know that like people are not really interested into that, so I mostly keep it for myself. And I tend to be a bit more, outspoken on stream, because it's literally my stream. And seeing people like being interested, I think like people were on average like very happy about the mumming lecture, and it made me very happy, because I think we talked about interesting things, and it was very fun to do. So I'm extremely grateful for all the people that are here in the chat or just lurking, but enjoying me talking about like my passions and stuff. You're a mod, it's true, so you need to behave. We haven't even gotten to the yapping. This is just the appetizer. I mean, the thing is, like, if people are in the chat, like, we can do like a pure yapping stream. We can do like a pure Zatsudan. It's just that when, like, there are less people, I tend to have a game like on the side, because it's easier for me. Miyabi is not a gay communist. Well, my lawyer is asking me to not answer to this question. You can draw your own conclusions from that. Maybe it's more so it doesn't get brought up unless the streamer starts a topic, or the political topic, and I do agree with it. I think it's like, it's kind of like what people have in mind is just that they translate that to no politics in their rules. But like, I think most people will have this stance. I think it's the same thing, and it's this very much the case for VTubers, because we have taken that from corporate people. The whole do not talk about streamers if they have not been mentioned on the stream, like by myself. And this is very funny, because this rule was like very like strict, especially on the Japanese side, to the point where like in Japan, especially in corporate settings, you do not rate people. Like, rating people is really not usual. And especially like, I think lately in HoloLive, they have seen that like the English side is rating a bit more, and now the Japanese streamers are rating each other a bit more. And I think that was a byproduct of like, do not talk about like another streamer on the on stream. Like, they would talk about like, oh, you have like this particular stream coming, or there will be this event, an hour later. But it's like, we can mention it, but we won't raid into that channel, because for some reason it was deemed too much. So I do agree with you here, May. Miyabi is definitely a weird streamer. I mean, like, have you seen the streams that we were doing? I mean, we had like this stream of like Leighton, where we started like yapping about like graph theory, about the bridges of Königsberg. We are doing weird lectures on like niche topics nobody cares about. At some point we were supposed to play like a game, and I was just talking about like the French Revolution for like 2 hours. Like, I'm a weird streamer, and if you watch me, you have to be a bit weird. But like in a very, positive way, I believe. Seems like we all have lawyers. I mean, the French Revolution stream was actually peak. That's why, I was like, after this stream, I was like, maybe I should really pivot into like educational content. Like, I think playing games is fun, but it's not as fun as like yapping about you know, I don't know, knowledge or whatever. But I was talking about that to some people. I think I'm nearing the end of my video game arc. I think this is almost over because I want to stop playing games and to do other things. Like, my video game arc was mostly, it originated from me working and doing research on video games. But since it's not exactly my main topic anymore, I don't really have a reason to play like video games. And I want to read more and I want to, you know, yap about things, I believe. So there will be like some changes, you know, in September with the 2.0 model. We'll just see how it goes. It's funny how much of indie VTubing is also tied to how corpo VTubing works, but I'm liking the newer change on both sides. I think so. I mean, was it before? Oh wait, like, that was during my break, right? That VShojo completely exploded. Because I think that's like a good example of like how indie VTubing is tied to corpo. It's like all of the big indies today, they have been, or they have links to like corporations. Literally like everybody, you know, not everybody, but at least like half of the people that were in VShojo were also like corporate VTubers before. And with the whole HoloLive situation and people leaving because like HoloLive was not for them anymore, you see them go indie, but they still carry some ideas from like corporate people. I think the funniest thing is probably like the schedule, because that was really put forward by corporate VTubers. It's not that it didn't existed before. It's just that if I remember correctly, like Ame was the one pushing it like a lot, and everybody kind of started doing this. So she popularized something that existed like a bit before, but to a degree where no, everybody is doing a schedule. When is it that useful? I mean, it's probably useful, but like it doesn't make sense that like everybody is doing it. It's just like it became mainstream through like corporate VTubing. And I think there's a lot of things like that when you still watch, you know, ex-members of like Niji Sanji or HoloLive or whatever, they still have a somewhat corporate way of like doing things, of like scheduling things, communicating. And I don't think this is necessarily bad. Like, people love to, you know, say that like corporate is bad because of capitalistic reasons, and like I understand why they say that, but at the same time there are some good aspects from like being corporate. And I do believe that if you're somebody that strives by having like a structure around you, having some sort of like rules and stuff, then, you know, corporate is not that bad as long as like your interests are protected to some extent. Not to some extent, but like your interests are protected. And I think like that's why, you know, the drama with HoloLive is always very funny to me, because like from what we have information-wise, like people don't leave HoloLive because like they have been mistreated, or at least it doesn't look like that from what they're saying. It's just that this space is not for them anymore because like the regulations are too much. But the regulations are also like a way to protect yourself from all sorts of circumstances, and that's why you have still a lot of people in HoloLive that are happy to be in HoloLive. Obviously, the situation was way more complicated with like Niji Sanji or VShojo, but like, again, it's like this aspect of like politics where people think it's always good or bad. It's like, no, it's complicated. There is good and bad everywhere. It's like capitalism, I think, is bad because of just the root that is like exploiting people to make more profit. but I think you can have like a corporation that is, you know, better than the others. To take like another example, it's the same thing with Nintendo, right? I do think that Nintendo is literally insane when it comes to certain things, especially on the executive side. The pricing of the Switch 2, the pricing of the games, the key cards, the crackdown on emulation, the crackdown on literally everything. But at the same time, Nintendo still has this like employee-centric approach, because Iwata and a lot of other people are like, we need to like make the employees comfortable. If they are stressed out thinking that they will be like fired, they won't be able to make games. So that's why, to some extent, not to some extent, it's like that's why we need like to care for them, and we need to implement things that are making development more human and more efficient for everybody. If you have fun at work, then you will be extremely productive. And it's like, so what do we think about Nintendo? The answer is very simple. It's like, enjoy and like be very, I think, respectful, let's say, towards like the creators, the one making the games, because I think their method is working very well. It feels, from the interviews that we have, it feels very horizontal lately, with like a lot of like newer people invited in like meetings, and they can pitch new ideas. And that's what we saw on Mario Wonder, that's what we saw on Donkey Kong Bonanza, for example. But at the same time, we can say like that the management in Nintendo, when it comes to like legal issues and stuff, is crazy. And I don't think like it's such a hard line to have. Like they're both good and bad on different like aspects. And for HoloLive, this is the exact same thing. Like I believe that like HoloLive is helping. If you fit into their projects and that's something that you want to do, then you will strive them, because it's a very good environment from what we know, basically. But are they crazy to some extent? Is HoloLive crazy to some extent? In the past months, in the past 2 years, let's say, when it comes to scaling up, going public as a company and stuff, yeah, probably they are not perfect, but like nobody is perfect, and especially no corporation is perfect. And then it's like trying to like adjust, and then we need like to hold them responsible after like their adjustments, after they try to change things. And that's why, like, you know, Falcom had this kind of like revival in the eyes of like the greater public and stuff, and I think it's okay. We talked about like Mooming and like human management, and I think like Mooming like characters corporation is like a good example of like a human management while still being like within like capitalism and with the goal of making money. So what I mean is that things are obviously complicated, and it's very easy to be, oh, this is good and bad. But probably we should like be a bit more nuanced about things. And I don't think this is like being, you know, apolitical or centrist or whatever, not taking like any side. No, you can take a side, which is like the side of like, you know, humanity and progress and like well-being of everybody, and see what works and what doesn't. Some of the YouTubing companies seem to have some crazy connections you can take advantage of. Management crazy. I mean, like, some artists nowadays, you cannot like have access to them if you're not part of like a big company. And I mean like literally like Niji Sanji or HoloLive, basically. Because they are just like, you know, if you try to, even if you have the money, you will probably not be able to have like all of the artists that were working with HoloLive, just because they have such a high popularity that they can choose to literally refuse everybody. So that's like one of the things. I don't know if some people here have watched the 3D live from like GG in HoloLive. that was crazy. Like the amount of like contacts, connections that were used to, I don't know, have like one, actor in the 3D live, and to be able to do all of this, yeah, you need crazy financial like means, and you also need just like a big, contact list of people. And this is the thing, it's like, oh, nowadays, if you're in HoloLive, you need to ask for literally everything if you are allowed to do this. If it's not like what you like, I think like it's fair to say that you don't fit into this, that you're annoyed, and that's why you will leave. But for a lot of people, like this is fair, like, oh, I need to ask permission for something, and sometimes it's a no. Well, it's just a no, and we bounce off to a new idea, a new game, and that's basically it. So it's really about like, do you fit into those like particular systems or not? I think some people strive like being indie, having like unlimited liberties and freedom, creative freedom, and they can say whatever they want, they can swear, they can like be themselves because that's how they are. And some people are not like that. They fit better like in a group environment with some rules, and you just take what you like. Again, corporations are bad because of capitalism, not because of rules. It's very much what benefits you. What benefits you really like, and what you won't mind that much not having. Yeah, exactly. Like I know that, like, I'll just say that, like, personally, like I think I would fit better like in a corporate environment, and I knew that also from my work, my previous work. So like being indie is fun, but like I would prefer being like in a corporation. And Namu Aminabutsu, thank you, Ellie, for still knowing the key motto from this stream. Namu Aminabutsu. Okay, that has been 1 hour of yapping. Do we want to play a game, or do you have another topic you want to talk about? If you do have another topic, we can just talk. But if not, I'll switch to Trials of Innocence. So I will go make my dinner and listen. Okay, so good luck preparing your dinner and preparing for stream, probably. And I'll do my transition into the game scene. I'm having lunch and listening. Oh, interesting. So you are one of the, like, if it's not indiscreet, are you like one US or like America people that I've been able to catch with this particular streaming time slot? Because we don't have too much like people from the US or Canada or even like America in general. From Brazil, very, very good. So yeah, you are very welcome here. Like I'm very glad that we have some people from South America. This is very, very nice. I'm eating dinner right now, leftover popcorns. Ellie, you need a balanced diet, please. Balanced diet. Okay. So, Trials of Innocence. If you remember, I certainly don't. We were at the end of the case. Do we really want to do that today, though? Do we really want to do the end of the case today? I don't think it will be too long, trust. Or maybe it will, I don't know. I don't know. Do I want to play the game or do I want to yap? It makes me think of like the day we wanted to play Layton and we just kept yapping instead of playing Layton, and the game was just in the background to like, I guess, lie to Twitch, being like, no, this is indeed like a latent stream. The case is actually only 30% done. No, this is like the final day. This is the final day in the like the final trial day. So I think like we can finish it, but like we kind of need to lock in if we want to finish the game. And like also this is a bit weird because like I think a lot of people don't have like a hang on the case. Like I don't think everybody was here when I was like resolving the case live from like the hints that we had. You can yap about food as it seems to be the theme if you want to yap. We can yap about food. Oh, okay. We are not playing the game. Let me let me go back to the chatting stream, by the way, because I think you kind of like. Oh wait, we need to wait. There's a lot of things to do. I need to change. This is again a full stream, like yapping about things. And we need to go and like just chatting. Okay. Done. Okay. My apologies, by the way, to like Memory if she is here at some point, because it has been a complete lie and I will have to make another thumbnail for YouTube so that people don't get baited into thinking that this is like the final part of the case. I don't want to yap about food because I have no money and that will make me sad. I'm sorry about it, but I want to yap about food, so I will disregard my mode. Okay, so yeah, again, and I completely agree. It's very nice to have like South American people on the stream, Brazilian people on the stream. I see a lot of them because like I'm hanging out, you know, on Blue Sky and backlogged, and there are a lot of people like from Brazil, and this is very, very funny. Okay, so when I was with my friends, so that was for basically, you know, 3 days, let's say. We cooked a lot. Literally, like, Miyabi was in vacation, but like she was cooking like every meal. And like it's very funny. I've talked to some people, but like I do believe that like if you cook, you know, if you're someone that cooks regularly, you should have a chef knife. Doesn't matter if it's like, you know, a cheap one, you need like a chef knife because like it is making your life so much easier. And so I was going there and there was like nothing, no knife. Everything was such a struggle. And it's not that I did not have fun cooking, it's just, oh yeah, I have more fun at home when like I have like my knife and my pots and everything is there and it's so easy and like I have my workflow. You need 3 knives. Chef, bread, small one. I mean, bread, yes. I mean, okay. Small one, I do get it like for like vegetable and stuff. I don't think you need it. Like this is like a very Western way of doing things. If you're like in China, you will do everything with 2 knives, like 1 knife or 2 knives. You have your big cleaver like for meat, and you have like a sort of like softer cleaver for fine work, vegetable and stuff. But I was there and we were like cutting things and I was like, this is insane. Cutting like potatoes and carrots with like a dull knife, it's literally torture. But yeah, okay, so let's talk about the curry recipe right now because, so take notes, I'm not writing it. I'm telling you on live on stream my recipe for curry. So you have to lock in and take notes. So what you need to do to make a curry, obviously there's like, you do whatever you want. It's a very flexible recipe. I think it doesn't really matter what you put inside of it. I'm just giving you like the way I do it generally. So I normally do my curry without meat, but like if you want to do meat, it's completely okay, and you can really like do it without any issue. It's just prep the meat at the beginning, so like you can have like some color, you have like the Maillard reaction, and you need to cook like the meat as if you were cooking like, you know, meat normally. And by the way, having a good knife feels so dangerous after having dulled saw blades my whole life. It's the contrary. It's the contrary. A dull knife is way, 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 way more dangerous than like a knife that has been well taken care of, that is well sharpened. Because if you cut yourself, well, first of all, there's less chance that you're slipping when you're cutting. And if you cut yourself, this is a clean cut. It will not be like jagged, you know, it will not be a hard and weird cut, so it will heal more easily. So even if you feel like you will cut yourself, it's better to have like a sharp knife. Small one is a bit better also for paprika. Yes, I do agree. I completely agree with you, May. Like if you can buy like a small knife, it's good to have one. But like you can get away with like a chef knife just because that's the point of the chef knife. It's like literally good at everything. It's just not perfect for certain things, but like you can get away with everything. Like if you try to fillet a fish with a chef knife, you will probably have a little bit of issues because like your knife is not as flexible as it should be, but you should still be able to fillet your fish. So my take is like, as a new person, if you get into cooking, just buy one knife, one good knife, and then you expand into something else. Okay, so back to the recipe of like curry. So what I do is like I do aromatics first, as always. So you can send onions, garlic, and you kind of like cook them for a little bit just so that they release some flavor. The goal is not like to cook them completely. You don't want to caramelize everything. You just want to like extract the flavor from it. It's at this point that you also add meat if you want to do meat. And then you have like a lot of choices. Chicken is like a popular choices. Pork is also good. You do basically like whatever you want when it comes like to the protein that you want to add. So after you cook your thing, or during like the cooking, you want to prep your vegetables. So again, you can put really whatever you like as vegetables. My general, you know, go-to, or just like a lot of potatoes, carrots, and sometimes if I have them like turnips, but like it's really, you know, whatever you have like in the fridge, doesn't really matter. So you cut them in like chunks that, you know, or you don't want to cut them like too small just because you don't want to have them kind of melt during the cooking. If your potato is completely cooked and you can mash them, you should probably like cut your potato like in bigger chunks because what you want to do is like you put your chunks of vegetable into your pot where you also have like your onion, garlic, and whatever. You add all the vegetables in there and then you cover with water to like the height of the vegetable. And then you will let everything simmer for, you know, 20 minutes, a bit more. It really depends. So again, it's a lot of trial and error to find like, you know, the good like potato variety to have something that you like. But basically you let things simmer to cook the vegetables. And then it will also like reduce obviously the level of water inside the pot. There's like some techniques where you can like put the lid on and off to like control the amount of water that is evaporating from your broth. But like you can, you know, adjust yourself. Then what you need is beforehand, obviously, you need to go in an Asian store. What you want to do is buy the Japanese curry packs. Those are like basically, this is literally a tablet of condensed spices, and you will just, after simmering all of your things, you will just throw them in your pot and mix them, and it will like deepen the broth, thicken it, give all the flavor from the curry. The consistency, it's like, it's literally like what you want. I don't have like a good like indication for you. It's just like you want to put like things to like if you do curry, my take is that you should do the entire pack of curry, because it's very easy to store like in the fridge. It's very easy to freeze. So just throw the entire curry, and you can check like behind the instruction, well, on the package of the curry cubes, you have literally the amount of water, you know, per cube. So you just have to do the multiplication, and you basically do everything. For an entire pack, I tend to, if you go like with meat, I would say like 3 potatoes and 2 carrots. But you can like upgrade, like increase the number of vegetables if you do like a vegetarian curry. The cubes, it's like, I think it's probably like 1 liter, maybe a bit more than 1 liter, probably 1 liter and a half for like the entire packet. It's like 12 cubes. But it doesn't really matter. It's like at the back of the thing, so literally don't like make any, it's very easy. And then what you want to do when you're like putting the cubes inside your broth is to go slowly. You can like throw everything in the pot if you're really lazy. My advice would be like to, you know, the same thing you will make, you will use like cornstarch. You kind of dissolve it like in a smaller amount of the broth, and then you put like your mixture back inside, so it thicken like without having bits of like the curry cube in there. And you do that until you don't have like any curry cubes anymore. If at some point the curry becomes too thick, just add a little bit of water. Again, very simple. It's like literally vibe based, and that's basically it. That's literally it. And then you have like also your special ingredients that you can add at the moment you're adding the water. And this is like, everybody has their own like formula. I tend to go with a little bit of soy sauce, some grated apples, like 1 grated apple for like an entire pack of curry, and some honey, because you want some sweetness to counterbalance the richness of the broth. And the soy is here to give like this extra umami sharpness to like your curry. And I would say like be pretty generous with like the sugar. Like 1 apple is good, and then, you know, a good spoon of honey. So that's basically like my way to do it. Then you can add like different spices. If you want to add like some crazy like ingredients, you can. It's literally free form. And that's basically it. I always make curry when I have guests over, because it makes so much very yummy. It's so easy to store, it's so good. Very tasty when reheated as well. Yes, and it holds very well in the freezer, so it's very good to make big quantities. Can you make those cubes yourself? You can, it's just a lot of work. Obviously you won't make cubes, but you will make like a curry paste, you know, kind of like similar to curry in like Southeast Asia. It's just like getting those ingredients, it's not that easy, I would say. You will have to go to an Asian like supermarket either way, probably. And I tend to believe that like curry is a very convenient like meal. It's very easy to make. There's no complicated step, and you can make a big quantity for literally like almost zero effort, especially if you're already comfortable in the kitchen. So you can go the extra mile, and there are some interesting like recipe for like curry cubes on the internet. I did it once. It was nice, but like it was not, transcended compared to curry cubes that you can buy in supermarkets. So I was like, I'm too lazy to do it again. But you can do this. I usually make curry like that since it's kind of hard to find the cubes here. Yeah, I think I had this discussion with another Brazilian person, and they say the exact same thing. Like it was hard to get a hang on the cubes. Honey in curry seems like an amazing idea. If you're not used to do like an apple, I would also like recommend an apple. It's literally like making an incredible difference. Like it's giving like a well-rounded taste to your curry. And I think it's almost the point where like an apple is kind of like becoming a mainstream ingredient in curry. I think everybody is doing that. Just grate your apples, obviously. If you have something to grate, you can grate. If you don't, then use like your knife and spend like 1 hour cutting, the apple. That's what I had to do with my friends because they did not have a grater. So I was just here with like a dull knife, and I was like cutting the apple, like mincing the apple into like a paste. That was really an experience. Can you tell it has apple in it? Because I don't like how apple is when warm. So because you're grating it, it will literally dissolve into your curry. And it's like, you don't take a big apple. You take like a medium-sized small apple, and you grate them into your curry. And this is 1 apple for the entire pack of 12 cubes. So it is just giving some sweet. It doesn't taste like apple. It just is giving like a touch of sweetness that will balance like the richness of your curry from like the cubes. But if you really don't like apple, probably like try to go for like half an apple, and then you like compensate by having like a lot of honey. Like sweetness is a game changer, but anything that is sweet will work. Dill and vinegar. I mean, vinegar is not like a crazy wrong suggestion. I think like, again, maturity in the kitchen is like learning that vinegar is like S tier ingredient and will help bring a little bit of taste. You cannot like go too hard on it, but probably a little bit like of vinegar is not too bad. I don't know, I've never tasted it. Pesto and carrot, pesto you have to be a bit degenerate, but like, yeah. Chocolate, very good. I mean, dark chocolate is always like an incredible addition to a lot of dishes, just because of the richness it gives to everything. So chocolate is also a very good choice, and I used to do it like that way. I just don't nowadays because I just eat the chocolate by myself. If you don't like apple, try apple. I mean, if you don't like apple, you don't have to put apple. I'm not a warm apple disliker, but like I don't think you can taste the apple when you do the curry. But if you're really worried about that, yeah, go honey, go chocolate. I don't think it feels like apple, in my opinion, but like, since this is not like something that I'm adverse to, I don't know if it's really something that you can taste in it. In my opinion, no, but you try, How can you not have a grater as an adult in 2025? I'm not the lawyer of my friends. Any spice recommendation? Not a lot, to be honest, because it's like the curry cubes are very, very strong already. Nutmeg would be a bit crazy, but my take is that like Japanese curry is very mild in itself in terms of really just spice level, like spicy. So I would say at the very least go a bit crazy on the pepper. And then it's like your favorite pepper, you know, it's like if you have like a favorite pepper, probably not white because it's too mild, but like dark pepper, black pepper, Sichuan. If you want a bit of mala, you can go for like Southeast Asian if you want something a bit more sharp. Pepper is good, but yeah, I don't have a lot of recommendation because the cubes are very, very, you know, heavy on spice already. Cumin, you can add cumin. I don't think it's making that much of a difference, but like you can add without problem, I think. And coriander, yeah, you can like add as a garnish at the end, but I would keep like coriander like as a garnish and, you know, not like, at the very least, I would add it after you have added the curry cube, but I would probably like add it like on the table. My dad is so hopeless with cooking that I had to buy a chopping board for him from... Oh, you had to buy a chopping... no chopping board? Literally, your dad was like cutting things in the sink? Out coriandering everything sounds like an okay problem. Oh, dried coriander. I don't use dried coriander, so I cannot like... I don't think he was cutting anything. That's worse. Dried coriander, I have no experience with that, so I can't... I mean, probably, like, there's no harm in adding coriander, but I don't use them anymore, so I can't even remember if you need to add like 1 million for it to you know, 1 million pieces for it to taste like anything. But again, curry is it's a very easy recipe. Like very low level recipe for the entry bar, and then you can elevate it with like a lot of different things. But like that's literally based on your taste. I would say my recommendation is to focus on the rice because I have an issue. Okay, that's my take. I have the right to say that as an Asian person, I have an issue with the way Westerners are making rice. So the curry is easy to make, just make some good rice to go with it. If you can go like Japanese rice, good for you. If you cannot, it's not too bad. You can use basmati, you can use like jasmine rice, it doesn't really matter, but do it properly. If you have like a rice cooker, good, it's literally done. If you don't, remember to let the rice, like, yes, wash the rice, not too much. Like there has been a lot of talk at some point, I think a few years ago, when people would say like, yeah, wash the rice until like the water is clean. You don't have to do this, and this is like a mistake to do it. What you see when you're washing the rice is literally the excess amidon, but you want some of them for the rice to kind of like keep some of its structure. You don't want to like wash completely your rice. It needs to have some, because then it will solidify into like a pleasant texture without going into, you know, cooking science. So wash your rice, 3 times, let's say. Don't go too hard on it. And okay, so Ellie wants the explanation to like cook your rice, so let's talk about it. You have, again, many ways to do it. If you have a rice cooker, wash your rice, put it like in your pot. You put the rice, the level of water is literally like the mark on the pot. You send it, done. if you have a rice cooker though, do not open it immediately. Never open your rice cooker immediately after making your rice, because you want your rice to rest. It cooks for like 20 minutes or so, whatever. And then you need to wait like at least this amount again, so 20 minutes, but like I tend to give like half an hour. You let the rice kind of like solidify into like the pot, just like cool down, not cool down, but at least like rest inside the pot. If you're opening it, you will let the steam escape, and that's when you oh, dried coriander seed, yes. If it's the seeds, you can go like hard on the seeds, it's very good. But yeah, do not open immediately your rice cooker. Let it rest, and you will have like a firmer rice that will be more enjoyable. If you have put the right amount of water in your pot and that the rice is too sticky, it means that you have opened your thing too soon. You need to wait a little bit more. And my take would be, when you're putting like the water in the pot, go slightly below the line. Like, you know, the same way when you're doing science, like there's like a menisque. Do the exact same thing for the rice. Go slightly below like the level for like your amount of rice. It will be okay. And you will avoid the issue of having a very, very sticky rice at the end, because that's literally the worst experience you can have if you are eating curry. Like, it just doesn't work with like a curry, like very, you know, mushy rice. Once my rice looked like glue, but this was my bad. We just used the same words for both the plant and the seed. Oh, I see. I have a pot diameter to extra water content formula. Literally crazy, Ellie. Okay, so that's like the method to the madness if you have a rice cooker, which is like the more convenient option. If you do not have a rice cooker, you have several ways to go with it. Boiling the rice is okay as long as I don't boil my rice, so it's very hard for me to exactly know how it works. But there are, I don't know, why no, don't boil your rice. I just don't know how it works, so don't boil your rice. What you should do is probably, if you just want to quote unquote boil, you probably want to do it like risotto way. Good night, Kelly. It was nice having you here, and I hope you will not struggle too much at work tomorrow, and I'll see you probably next week. So yeah, do it like the same way as, you know, risotto. You put like some amount of water, but then you need to check. There are maybe recipes like on the internet for the exact, you know, level of water that you need. And then you cook it like as a risotto, I would say. And you need to watch your rice, because this one, like the rice cooker, you know, is putting it on off itself. You don't have to do any work, but if you're doing like a sort of risotto boiling way, you need like to watch. And at a certain point, you taste your rice, and it's okay. But it's the same thing, like try to let your rice rest. You let it cook, you kind of drain the excess water if there were some, and then you let your rice rest in the pot, so that it has time to like gather the water again and solidify. The best way to do the rice though is to do like a parboil and then steaming the rice. If you steam the rice, it's very good. And the recipe for that, I will send you the video, it will be easier. So let me send you this video. And I'll put that also in the server as well, I think. Whoop. Okay, so this video is literally like parboiling into steaming. So you parboil literally for 3 minutes, and then you take your rice, after draining, you send it like on your steamer over like some, cloth. And literally you steam for 10 minutes and it's done. It's literally done. And then you have the same thing. You need to like let it rest, let it cool. So you just put it like, on a tray, a plate, whatever, and you let everything cool. And you will have like a rice that is probably even better than rice cooker. Unless you have like a Japanese rice cooker and then like you have spent already like 200 euros into a rice cooker and it's literally the best thing you can have. But yeah, that would be like my methods. Like if you can buy a rice cooker, if you have like the money to do it, just buy a rice cooker. It's really good. It will last you a long time and it's so convenient, and you will have like make the rice cooker worth in, a few days. 100%. And you have like rice cooker that are not too expensive. Just go to like an Asian, store and buy, random rice cooker there. Like mine, the one that you use right now, it was like, I think 60 euros, but like you have rice cookers that are like less expensive. It's just that they are not as big. And if you're already, crazy on rice, just buy like a Japanese rice cooker and live the bourgeois life. But I think you can find like rice cooker for like 30 euros or something like that. So that would be my advice if you really want to eat more rice. If you cannot, I would like advise the steaming method. Parboiling, steaming, that's what I do when I want like some extra good rice when I'm cooking with people. This is literally like the best method. It is a bit more involved, quote unquote, than a rice cooker, but it's still very easy. Like you parboil and you don't have to worry about the quantity of water that you're putting it, because it's a parboil. You will anyway like strain the rice after 3 minutes, and then it's steaming. And steaming is very straightforward. You just put like an alarm for like 10 minutes. You steam and it's literally done. You have to have like a steamer, but it's kind of like easy to improvise a steamer as well. So I don't know, I'm an Asian person, so like having a steamer, a bamboo steamer and stuff like this is like normal for me. I cannot help you if you just have like Western utensils. But yeah, and let your rice rest. You can like, if you ask yourself the question, what type of rice do I need to buy? It doesn't really matter. You can buy whatever rice you want. Normally, if you're serious about cooking, I should tell you that the amount of water is varying depending on like varieties of rice. You don't care. Just like use, the same amount for everything. You have like, if you have a rice cooker, you literally have the water line. It doesn't really matter. And that's basically it. Just if your rice is not perfect, on the first try, just assess what is going on. If you have like two big problems when you're making rice, it's like, is it too mushy? And the answer is pretty simple. It's either you have put like too much water or you haven't let the rice rest long enough. So try to adjust based on those two like factors. If like you have a sort of like crusty layer of rice at the bottom of your pot, it means that like you don't have like enough water. Brain exploded, I'll stick to quinoa. To be fair, like if you know how to do quinoa, this is pretty similar, right? Because quinoa, you absorb the water, right? You do it a risotto way. So it's kind of going like that. I cannot help you on the quantities for like water because I just don't use this method. But I don't know. Just let your rice rest. I think for me, this is the number one advice I give to people when it comes to making rice. Because every time, okay, I have also an issue. This is my rant. It's like sometimes I go to certain people and they are making me rice. I'm like, I'm literally Asian. Why are you trying to cook Asian food to me? For me, it's like it's literally what I eat, you know, on a daily basis. And you're just making, like, it's the first time you're making this Asian dish and it just is bad. What's the point? Like, I'm literally Asian cook, like French cuisine or something that you know how to cook. But every time I go to like derogatory white person's place and they do rice, it's the same problem. They do rice at the last moment and then they take the rice immediately from the pot because they never have like a rice cooker, and then the rice is so mushy and you're like, what is this? How can you eat this? And the answer is like, let it rest. Just let it rest. I can make you desert for desert. Desato. I cannot speak in English anymore. But yeah, I mean, cooking, you told that, like, I did not react to that, but like you said, the way when I mess up food, I do it so bad, I'm surprised on who let me cook. Cooking is not a science, it's an art. It's just, you need to fail. At some point, you need to fail. And then you assess like your mistakes. I don't think like anybody will cook like a perfect meal immediately. My advice, if we're talking at a very beginner level to like people that are not used to like cooking, if some of them are watching the stream, just cook. Just take a recipe, just take a simple like Italian recipe, just cook. You literally have no thinking to do. It's good to always taste your food at every stage to have a better hang on the flavor profile and to be able to adjust. But if you're a new cook, it will not help you too much because you don't know what is good. But yeah, just take an Italian recipe and just cook. And then passively, you will reach a point where you'll be able to improvise on stuff. You can like go slightly away from the recipe, you can change things, and then you would just like add some technical skills that make you, well, you will be able to like do dishes without thinking by improvisation, just by checking what is in your fridge. But I think it's okay to fail, you know, in everything in life, but especially in cooking, because that's how you cannot know what is good if you don't like fail and do something that is disgusting. You need to taste something disgusting to be like, oh yeah, I can feel like the difference between the two. And just cook, just bake, just do things, and it will get there at some point. I will make you a Danish dish and you will say Western food is bad. I have no opinion. Probably my hot take on Western food is that like French cuisine, not haute cuisine, but like French gastronomy is like way overrated. It's like so bad. Bœuf bourguignon, coq au vin, all those things, pot au feu, just like D-tier recipes. And you can make those like recipe great, but then you are using like restaurant tricks to make, you know, everything nice and tasty. It's like, oh, why is your mashed potato like so good? Well, because like there was literally like 1 kilo of butter in it. But yeah. Western food, there are some cuisines that I really like. Italian, Mediterranean food in general. But I have a lot of grievances with like other Western style of cooking. Cooking as an art form is very soothing too, especially since you end up with a tasty meal after the work. I think so. I mean, I do understand the people, you know, you work, you come back home, maybe you don't have the energy to cook. If it's not your routine to cook every day, I think it's hard to motivate yourself being like, oh, it's literally, you know, 8, 9 p.m. and then I need to cook. And it will take me, you know, like maybe half an hour and then I need to do the dishes. This is annoying. So I do understand the people that are like, it's not exactly soothing, it's not exactly like pleasant, it's very tiring. But personally, I would agree with you. I think like cooking is very nice, just because, at least for me, you know, I'm mostly doing research and stuff. I can do something with my hands, and this is very like, because I've been cooking, you know, since like for the past 10 years, approximately like 1 hour per day. So like, let's say, if we're a bit conservative, let's say like 3,000 hours in the kitchen. And it's like, at this point for me, like this is a routine. I cook without thinking, and this is very soothing. But I would say like, even for people that are not too, you know, too deep into cooking, just take an easy recipe and have fun. I think even nailing, you know, an easy cacio e pepe, very, very good. Very good. And you will have like a lot of fun. This is very soothing. You will have something very nice. You can do meatballs. It's literally like meat into balls. Very simple. You just have to add like, you know, the spices that is on the recipe, and you will have something fun to eat. But yeah, I do agree with you. Like cooking is very soothing. You're not trying to criticize people for not cooking. It's just that I find it very fulfilling. But having no energy to do it is very understandable. Yeah, we do agree. I think like, but like I would say like cooking is soothing the same way manual activities are soothing, right? If you like knitting, if you like, I don't know, painting, if you like playing some music, if you like sewing, if you like doing sport or whatever, I think everything is soothing just because it's something that you do with your hand. And at some point, it will be some muscle memory more than, you know, active thinking. So it becomes like a very meditative activity. Cooking is a rogue-like game, and the game has meta progression basically. Literally like everything that is skill, like learning a skill. Cooking when I'm not paying for ingredients is way more fun. I mean, literally me with my parents, by the way. But yeah, when you don't have to look at the amount of money, it's like really, really fun. We used to do food exchanges with some neighbors who were Asian, and it was so fun. We got Asian cooking from them, and in exchange, they got lasagna. I think it's the most fun way to cook. Like, I'm a big proponent into like, we need, like, if you cook seriously, you need to go out of your comfort zone. You need to cook things that are a bit, you know, unexpected for your taste. And food exchanges is like such a good way to get ideas, because you literally also have the person willing to teach you like their recipes. So it's very, very nice. It opens like such an understanding of the world. There's several like food anthropologists that have written about obviously food in foreign countries, and what we tend to say in like food studies is that take a culture and go ask people what is their like go-to soup and their go-to bread, and you will have like a very good hang on how this country is working. And I do think that like exploring these, you know, foreign recipes, like weird recipes sometimes, it's opening such a door as a human person. You will learn what like otherness is in a very like let's say respectful way. And it's what I hate the most about like food globalization, is that everything is so similar when there's so many different like dishes. And the moment you get really into this, you will become a better person just by like being, you know, in contact with something very foreign. Unexpected for you taste, but what if I like everything? I mean, it's like unexpected for your culture, right? Like, okay, you live in Western Europe. It's time, I think, to eat, for example, you know, things that are very bitter. I think like in Europe, we really handle very poorly bitterness when it's such like a key component of certain cuisine, especially in Southeast Asia. And bitter cucumbers, extremely good. You have a lot of different dishes whose flavor profile is different from what we have. And it's not that you won't like them, it's just that it's, you know, weird for the average food that you get in your country. And I think like that's but I mean, you get my point, right? But like, it's really about like opening doors. I think it's like, you know, some people, they handle like flavor variety a bit more. But then like if flavor is not a problem, but texture is, try like new textures. And then you, and I think lately it's what people are very afraid of, like textures. Like I really want to taste, you know, offals, especially, you know, pig brains and stuff like this. I really want to eat it because it seems like so interesting. It's just I live in a country where this you cannot buy them. There's no regulation, but you're not allowed to like buy some pig brain, for example. But just accepting that people eat different things and that this is like a staple for them, like it's very, very like enlightening. And I mean, that's what we will be talking about like next year, right? Like I'm preparing the lectures for next year. And so I talked about that like last time, I mean, before my break. We'll have like 12 lectures on food in Japan. Sorry, somebody is like sending me messages. Yeah, okay. So we'll have 12 lectures on food and food history in Japan, and we'll explore like very, very, you know, diverse topic. I've showed that like already, but we can go through it like very quickly because I think it's related to our current discussion. So let me find my thingy. And I need to go into like the, yeah, okay. Let me prepare something. Okay, we'll go there. We'll go there. There, and I think you should be able to see, and I just have to, whoop, do something like this probably. Okay, so I mean, we talked about this, so sorry, like for the people that were here last time when we were talking about this will be kind of a redo. But talking about like how like food is like evolving is very interesting. Like, let me just read what Ellie is. Banana pineapple curry and to tip it in a garlic kebab sauce. You do what you want to do. You know, I respect you, Ellie. And also, like, what is she talking about? Okay, so next year we'll do like, if we're talking about like food diversity, like I want really to talk about sushi, really about like the different type of sushi, fermented food, fermented rice, fermented fish. There's so much more than like the Tokyo sushi that everybody knows, and you know that has been like then adapted by like Westerners, Californian rolls and stuff. So I really want to talk about like why do we have this type of sushi? We only see this type of sushi, and what is existing and how it's like surviving in other areas. And I think learning like those things, it helps us understand that like a food culture is not, there's no national dish. What is deemed a national dish is mostly some sort of like propaganda with a certain goal in terms of soft power, right? It's like, oh, this dish is becoming very famous, and we are using it like to project our country's power to the world. And that's what like Japan did with sushi, right? By sending sushi masters all over the world, sushi masters that were trained mostly in Tokyo, or like with like Tokyo style sushi, and sushi became like a symbol of Japan. But again, this was like a political choice. I really want to talk about like meat in Japan, again because meat was not a staple in Japanese diet until like the 70s, basically, the 70s, 60s, 70s. It's basically something that was introduced by America after the occupation of Japan. And that's like the reason why the consumption of fish and rice is decreasing, and the consumption of like meat, bread, pasta is increasing in Japan. And it will be very interesting to see how like meat has changed in like the mind of Japanese people, because when you think about like meat in Japan nowadays, you will think about like yakiniku, you will think about like fried, you know, whatever, chicken, or meat in general. But it's like this idea of like fried dishes. This is not like something that is traditional, quote unquote. And I think this is very interesting to watch. Like, what are people actually eating in Japan? Do we actually eat meat? And what's the difference between like eating meat outside and eating meat at home? By the way, while we're talking about meat, if you use meat in your curry, don't forget while like the water is boiling, while you're making the broth simmer, don't forget to remove the scum from the meat, right? You will have a lot of scum coming to the surface, so you need to be like near your pot every 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, and you remove that scum, because it's just a bit dirty and it won't give like a nice finish to your curry. So don't forget about it if you're doing it with meat. While your yap is so good, I don't want to go, but I must. Thank you for being here. May have fun, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. So yeah, meat, very, very interesting. We will talk about like the fish culture as well, because like things are evolving like a lot with fish. I mean, this is not exactly the point of our video in September, but we'll kind of touch the topic. It's like, do people fish the same or fishing the same fish? And like, what does it mean in terms of like diet? Is there a rise of certain like species or not? And one example I would give right now is, for example, for recreational fishing, a lot of people have introduced, kind of like illegally, by the way, a lot of black basses, a lot of black bass in Japanese rivers and lakes. And you know that black bass is like a super predator, so it kind of like killed the local ecosystem. The problem with those fish is that Japan has a very strong catch and release culture. And also, like, black bass is not really a fish that is tasty for Japanese cuisine. So there's this thing where we fish like black bass, but nobody is eating the black bass, and it's kind of like causing some issues for the environment. So there's something interesting here to say about like fishing and the relationship to like food and certain recipes. And yeah, we'll talk about rice, obviously, like the evolution of rice, especially because there's like so many different varieties of rice. There was like a drama in Japan like a few days ago because like one local politician said like something bad about one variety of rice, being like, I don't eat that, I only eat this. And people were like, oh, you're disrespecting our local rice, you're crazy, we will kill you. So what are some of the most used fish for eating in Japan? I would say depends where you are, right? Because I mean, most cities are very close to the coast, so you will have like a lot of salmon, I would say, mackerel as well. Then you can have like some trout, you can have some bass, but those would be like less common. I would say mostly mackerel. Like Japan is mostly about like small fishes, small fish when it comes to like the usual diet, because this is very nice like for a small portion. But yeah, mackerel is obviously, in every culture, this is such a S tier choice, and there's a reason for that. I think that like that this is the problem. The fish lovers are literally like awakening in the chat. But yeah, I don't know. To be fair, I don't exactly know the answer to your question, just because like I don't have like data like this, so I would say, some mackerel and adjacent fish. The thing is also like it has changed over the centuries. When fishing became a bit more, let's say, recreational, it's like people started to fish smaller fish and like beautiful fish, and it has changed a little bit the consumption towards like smaller fish. So you can eat ayu, you can eat, but yeah, like it would be hard for me like to give like a better answer than that, because I just don't know. I think trout is very common here because they are so easy to catch yourself. Yeah, I think so. But obviously Japan like is still a big country in terms of like fish consumption, but it's like powered by a national industry, and like fisheries, like offshore fisheries, long distance in the sea fisheries. So it's a bit difficult to really answer. Yeah, salmon, mackerel, I would say. And then it's kind of like everything that you may find. There's a lot of diversity, but like I wouldn't rank the rest of them like in S tier in terms of like volume consumed. The thing is also in Japan, like you have like the you have the biggest market in Tsukiji, right, in Tokyo, and this is like really something important that we'll talk about at some point in the videos. Is that some villages were really made for fishing. You had like in the Tokugawa era, the Edo era, so let's say in the 17th to like the middle 19th century, you had this division of like the land, and villages would fall into different categories. You would have like the more farming villages, and you would have like the fishing villages. There's also like the coastal villages that are slightly different from the fishing villages, and like their goal would be like 100% to fish for the rest. And in those like countries, and I mean those regions, prefectures, you would have like specialties. But yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. Fish, 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 people fish, fish. What about fish eating fish? I'm pretty sure they fish. That's when we are enabling like Sigrid and Ellie at the same time. It's like, what are they talking about? What are they talking about, by the way? We just don't know. We just don't know. But again, it's very interesting. It's very interesting because you'll see that like there's a phenomenon where like fishing was like I don't talk too much about it in the video because it would be too long, but like fishing was like like a hobby for nobles before like being extended to the general population, thanks to the reduction of the writing of textbooks and manuals about fishing. But what am I talking? I don't know. Don't let me talk about things. I just don't know what I'm talking about. But all of that to say that, yes, I think, going deep into like a cuisine, it will help you like understand a lot of different things. And especially like if you're really serious about cooking, you will learn about like history, you will learn about like geography and stuff. And this is a very interesting way to like explore an entire culture. It's like, oh yeah, food is only, a gateway to something more important. Because let me show you things if I can do that. Oh wait, I may have like a book on it. Yeah, this is this book. I think you can see it. Yeah. There's like where is it? Biodiversity. This is an immense book, like almost like 1,000 pages just on like biwa in Japan. It was an interesting chapter, I remember. It was a few months ago. I can't. Bear with me, by the way. Bear with me. I just wanted to make a taco and now I'm fluent in that one. But to be fair, you joke, but I think like you can learn like a lot of language just by, and just the way people are calling, dish. This is very, very interesting. Oh, this is here, I think. Technology, leader, periodization, water. Where's my thing on fishing? Oh, this is here. So in around like Biwa, so this is like the biggest lake in Japan. So this is a very interesting area. Again, for the people that don't know, I'm interested in like rivers and lakes, mostly rivers, and how we are presenting rivers and how people are living around rivers, and the link between rivers and fiction in Japan. And like I kind of want to talk about those places and how they are fueling certain specific ideas in fiction. So that's why like Biwa was very interesting for me, because it's such an important place and there's a lot of different ideas around it. It's like you have the people that are trying to keep their traditions alive around like Biwa, and you also have like people that are trying to change the land into something more touristic, or just like politicians trying to build, you know, dams and things around the lake and whatever. And there are a lot of conflicts between different groups that are involved in Lac Biwa. So this is a very, very interesting place. And of course, I was studying was doing research on the traditions around Lac Biwa. And is it here? There was like, maybe I can search. Yeah, okay. I think you have something here, or maybe... Oh, this is here. No, this is here. Okay, okay. So what they have here is that this region, so the Shiga prefecture, is like very, as you can see, maybe here, it's very deep on fish and rice. And because of that, like obviously all of the religious, rituals and festival were kind of centered around those staple. And in particular, because it was something, you know, very early in history, they had to preserve fish and rice, and that's why like fermenting is such a big thing in this area. And there is like something that they do basically, like to put it simply, funazushi is basically like fermented like rice and fermented sushi, if you want. And this is like an actual, religious festival. So people will like fish, and you have like official people trained for it that will like cut the fish and then like prepare it for other people. And so that's like what you would eat for this particular festival. And there are other like dishes that were adapted from it, and that are now like very famous dish that people would go eat when they're visiting the region. I don't think they have like any more pictures here, but yeah, okay. So you can see here that like there's like a very specific way of preparing it, and it's like the entire community is literally like involved in it. You have both the farmers and the fishermen, fisherwomen, but men more often, that are like preparing like the raw ingredients, and then you have like the other people that will actually make those dishes. So this is a very collaborative thing where like all the different generations are literally like involved. And this is part of like the key identity of Biwa. And obviously, like when fish and rice is such like a big thing in your culture, in your local culture, when you see like things like pollution in the lake, this is very bad, right? Because it's affecting the type of fish that you can catch. And this is also affecting like your identity. If you cannot hold your festivals at all, then you're losing some sense of community. And so that's why like you have like those conflicts between different people around like traditions. And I think this is very interesting because when people are trying to do like construction near the Biwa Lake, they have to contend with those things as well, like the local traditions. It feels so weird that food culture is so different in more individualistic countries. It has been such a social thing for so long in our history as a species. I think it's you touch like a very interesting point, because I really believe that like with the rise of like, and we will be talking about that like in we'll be talking about that in here. Whoop. With the rise of the combini and the supermarket, there has been effectively like, and I talk about Japan, but this is the same thing everywhere. There's this thing where people don't cook together, and we have lost something. I think, for example, like it's still the case in some countries, obviously, but like the baker was such a key position in the village, right, historically. Because you're literally baking, you have like this very particular oven and you're baking for everybody. And this is like such an important thing in Western society, and it has kind of disappeared in some countries where like you would buy your bread in supermarkets. So there's no sense of community. And in some other cultures, you obviously have like this idea where the whole family would meet together and everybody would pitch in the preparation of the meal. There's still like a gender division with like women being in the kitchen and men, you know, kind of like gathering wood and stuff or doing very specific tasks. But it's still a group project. And I think we have lost that to some extent. It has been also the case with like, I think the sort of glamorization of like cuisine through haute cuisine, with this idea of a chef that is kind of like doing everything, and we kind of like lose the bigger picture, and that like other people are also like contributing to the kitchen. So yeah, I mean, this is a very interesting topic, and we'll probably talk about that in here. Funky fermenting is my favorite topic. I mean, fermenting is such an interesting thing. Like, I don't do fermenting too much nowadays just because we don't have too much space for that. But yeah, it's very, very interesting. Are they making puzzles again? Like, this is just a meme of the server. Very good. I feel they're yearning for good pineapple pizza. I mean, I don't have a problem with pineapple pizza. My only condition is that like you don't have pineapple juice. Like it has to be kind of like, let's say, you know, you don't put like the entire can of like pineapple if you use like a can. Don't put the juice as well, but like, yeah. All of human history just to make me have the urge to watch a video on YouTube while eating my dinner. I mean, depending on the video that you watch, this is, you know, probably acceptable. But yeah, so very, very interesting topic. And that's really why I want to talk about like, about rivers, but also people living around rivers, because it's, for me, it's always about the people. It's very easy when you do history to only talk about, you know, broad phenomena, to talk about key figures in history, but I think it's the less interesting thing. And that's why like I'm more of an anthropologist than a historian lately. I want to talk about people. I want to talk about how complex they are, how they will make decisions that sometimes do not make any sense, and how are we trying to like find some meaning into this. Like everybody is trying to, you know, deal with life, and sometimes the decision that they choose are kind of like weird, but this is our goal, like to extend our horizon to understand those decisions. The juice is safe for dissolving the human flesh I have in my basement. Perfect. I might specialize in microbiology, so I might learn a bit more about fermentation process in depth. I mean, this is again a very interesting topic. Like I think I think there's also like nowadays a very, distaste for like I don't know, microorganism in general, microbes and such. And it's like there has been a sort of like sanitarization of like our societies that don't make sense sometimes. Like there's this whole thing like you should wash yourself like every day with soap and stuff. It's like no, you shouldn't. If you wash yourself with like soap every day, you are destroying your skin flora, and this is not good. And I think there's this thing about like waste and like cleanliness. It has evolved. Like there's a history of it, and it's very interesting, I think, to talk about like microorganism and being like no, they are actually very good, and we shouldn't be afraid of them. It's interesting too. I've lived part of my life in a rural community, and back in the days, there was one person who had a big clay oven who baked bread and cakes for everyone. People shared on hunts and harvests and stuff. Nowadays, this doesn't really happen anymore. Most stuff is a lot more convenient to get, but this communal thing has been kind of lost. I completely agree. Like it's literally like this particular situation. I think it's like with the advent of like the nuclear family, and this has been like a very recent invention, right? Like even like in the West, the nuclear family with like just the couple and the children, it's very recent. It's like, let's say 19th century. It really came with like the bourgeois aesthetic in like the Victorian era, basically. Because before that, like everybody would live like together. It would be like an entire like several generations of people living in the same household. And now we are trying like to separate the community a bit more. And this is very interesting because it's responsible of like this sense of solitude that some people are feeling. It's like I'm not surrounded by people anymore. I don't have people I can count on because they live so far away, or it's just like very it feels normal like nowadays in certain countries to push like the kid outside of the house, right? I think like every time I hear about American people and they tell that, oh yeah, I'm still living with my parents, but I'm paying the rent. And like, if I'm not paying the rent, they will put me out of the home. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I still think that in Europe, in certain like countries like Italy or Spain, I think it's very normal to live with your parents until very late because they haven't like dissolved that part of like the culture yet. But like in here in France, I've been seeing like people trying to get independent, or like parents pushing people to be independent very early. And it doesn't really make sense to me because like as a young adult, you're still trying to like grow up, and you still need people around you, I think, to do that. I think that for a lot of people, and that's kind of like what I kind of saw from a lot of discussion with people, and this is not, scientific thinking right now. It's just like pure anecdotal like findings. But a lot of people have a distaste for like, not a distaste, but like they don't care about eating. They are like, I wish I could like not eat. I wish I could eat, like just a medicine, a pill, and it would give me everything I need for like the day. And it's like, yeah, because like for you, cooking and eating has become something purely individualistic, right? There's no sense of community. There's nothing shared. You're not cooking the food with anyone. And that's why like it feels like a burden to some extent. I remember when I was like younger, I would be with my grandparents, and so they had like a sort of like big garden, but it was like not a garden, adjacent to like the house because they were in a flat. It was a sort of like communal garden, and every people like in this like building would have like a a lot. They would have like a specific part that were like their own, and they could grow whatever they wanted in this part. And I remember that we would go there in their like big garden. There was a sort of like, you know, some sort of like small house in wood or whatever, where people would meet. Like we would meet like with the extended family and friends, and it's like everybody is bringing something, and we would cook things over the fire there. And it was such an incredible experience, because like I live in France, and it's so weird to do that. Like you go into the nature and you do some sort of like light camping, but also like eating outside Asian style. And this feels like so good. This sense of community, this sense of like everybody is contributing. Either you're cooking, either you're bringing something that you have cooked at home, and people would come with like their special recipes. And I remember that like some people were, you know, they were the best at this particular dish, and when they were invited, people would like expect this dish to come, because it's like, oh yeah, they're just so good at this, and this will be nice for everyone. And this is such like an experience, like a formative experience for me. And I love sharing food. There are some times when I don't like cooking because I'm alone, because I'm lazy, but like cooking for others, creating this experience of shared community, oh, it's just so good. It's literally like the best thing in the world. And we have lost that to some extent, but I think it can be like made again, right? We can like normalize like meeting with people and cook together. I do not see the vision. I really do not see the vision of like cooking, you know, you invite friends, but like everything is ready. Like they just come with like a gift of like wine or dessert, and you as the host, you're in charge of the cooking. I really like this idea of like you pitch in also for the cooking, either by cooking or by bringing something like to eat. I love this idea of having a table with like 4 or 5 different dishes, and just like, you know, a big like pot of rice, and everyone can like try different things. Finland has been able to keep around most of their ancestral knowledge of their local flora and mushrooms. Obviously, like Ellie is talking about mushrooms. They weren't as affected by witch hunts spurred on by the Christian church as much as here in Sweden. They even retain most rituals connected to certain herbs and plants that have like a poignant legend that is related to that plant effect in medicine, for example. I think this is also very interesting because like this is very interesting what we're doing. Let me show you something, if I can like do that. We might have to go in here. Might have to go in here. Okay. Oh, this is such an interesting stream. I'm having such a good time with you. Let me find. Where is it? Where is it? In my crazy files. Editing material, probably it should be somewhere around here. Or is it? I think this is this. Okay, this will be a bit scuffed, but like I guess it will still be all right. I don't want to put like the. I won't put like the sound for this because like I shouldn't be streaming this, so it will just be like for the picture. Okay, so this is a documentary, by the way, on a village that was. Oh, I'm spoiling my research topic. This is a village that has been flooded by the construction of a dam in Japan. And so this particular documentary is about like the end, basically. I don't think you have the sound. You shouldn't have the sound, but like you have the subtitles for a little bit. But like what like the realizator, like the director, is doing is like he is going to meet like those people that are still living there at the very end, like a few months before the destruction of the village, before people were evacuated. And I think at some point he is exploring like those are like for example like plants that are harvested in the region, and this is only in this particular region, and they have like specific like recipes for them. So it's very interesting, like he is going to like see those people, and he saw like those people like harvesting like those plants in the forest and like doing things with them, and you know it will end because like the dam would be constructed and people will be like evacuated, and it's literally a loss of knowledge. And I think like it's kind of a very sad documentary. Like that's when like things have been like the village is being destroyed by people here. Like you see like construction work like around or whatever. So like this is a funny thing. This is a funny passage where they go into the mountain and they just like gather some roots or whatever to do their cooking. And like very interesting, you know, like how people are doing things in like small villages, and then you have like a very, very sad scene at the end, I think. So basically like the village has been evacuated and those people have been like sent on the you know nearby town to live there. And I think this is like the saddest thing of the entire thing. So there was also like a companion book that like the director wrote about this situation, and like you see like this old grandma that we saw like before, you know, harvesting things and like eating things in her village. And like in the book, the line is literally like, I saw her little figure in the supermarket and she was like chasing, she was like searching for discount in like the combini. And I was like, oh man, this is hard. This is hard. Like you had your way of life. You had your food, your recipes that you would like make with like special ingredients that were fermented in a very peculiar and you know special way. And after the village has been destroyed, flooded, you have been sent in a town that is foreign to you, and you need to buy like prepackaged things in the supermarket, and this is so sad. And I think that's kind of like, you know, one of the terrible thing about modernity. And we don't talk enough about this. We don't talk about people. And that's why when I do research, I want to talk about those people. And there's a line also in the book where like someone is saying, and I think it's also like in the documentary, someone is saying like, yeah, I live here now. I think it's fine, you know, but like it's a temporary residence. Like my home that has been destroyed is literally under the lake. I'm just living here as a temporary measure. And they mean that because like at their age, they will die, you know, in 10 years. In 10 years, they will die. And this is like, yeah, you die in a foreign land, basically, in a city that is foreign to you, having lost all of what made like your life so special in this village. All the knowledge that you have like crafted for decades. And like I was also crying when I like watched the documentary and read the book. And I actually, it will be sometime at some point we'll talk about this in like videos, because I have actually interviewed the Japanese director for this documentary and book, and we had a discussion about like what he felt like talking to those people and stuff. And he told me that like, so you won't find it. I had to buy it from like the director itself, but it's like I think you can find it on Letterboxd. Yeah, you will find it on Letterboxd because I've added it on Letterboxd. It's the Submerged Village, I think. Let me go back to the. Wait. Yeah, this is this. I was the one adding it, by the way, on Letterboxd. So the village Submerge, or Mizu ni natta mura. So the village that became water, basically. And so I did like an interview with Nobuo Onichi. And I'll catch up with all the messages that you wrote, by the way, in chat. I just want to finish on that topic. And like he told me that like all the people basically that he interviewed were all dead nowadays. And like all those like women and people he talked to were like, you're like a son to us, because like it kind of like just talking to you, it created again this sense of like belonging, of like, oh, maybe the village is not dead, maybe it still exists somewhere. And he was talking to me about like how when like one of the old women passed away, like he went there at the funeral. I don't think like the rest of his family went. I don't remember exactly, but I know that like the rest of his family was like very touched by it, like his child and his wife. And he went there, and people were like, thank you for coming here, because like it means even more to us than like, ancient residents of the village coming here. Like you were like kind of a stranger to us, to the village, but in some ways, just by talking to us and sharing our history, you are like part of the family. You are part of like our village, and it's very, very it's very sad, but like in a very beautiful way as well. And there's no lesson at the end of like this documentary. At the end of this book, it was really like, okay, what do we do? Because like this village, the Tokuyama village, this is only one of the many villages where people have been like sent away. That village has been flooded. But this is still the case in Japan to some extent. And what are we doing? Why are we building like dams that has literally, they have no purpose. They have no purpose. It's not even like protecting the environment or protecting against flood. It literally has no purpose. It's about like laundering like money for political reasons, basically, through, public projects. And I talked to him about like, do you think like that people like in the future will, take care of that project, of that issue, that people are interested in that issue and stuff? And he told me that he didn't know. He was pretty certain that like, as politicians do not care about like the consequences of like building dams nowadays, nobody will care in like 100 years. But what we need to do, he told me, was like, if the young generation can be interested in those questions, then maybe there's a hope to defend our, traditions and our history and our way of living. And I think like that's when I really went very hard on this like research project. That's when he told me, thank you like for, as a foreigner, to be interested in that topic, to learn about this history and to talk about it. And when he told me that, I was like, okay, this is like the work of my life. I want to talk about rivers. I will talk about the people living there, and we'll talk about those people. If you remember, we did one stream about Yokohama. We'll do like a stream where we'll talk about a video or whatever where we talk about like the sex workers in Yokohama and like how their life has changed because of the modernization of like the harbor into something more corporate. I want to talk about people, the people that you don't hear about in general, and how they are affected by this modernity. And it's not about modernity is bad, it's about like modernity should be good for everyone. And I want to talk about them. I want to talk about a village called like Ogatamura, that is kind of a like highly special mechanized village for like rice farming, and how it's also struggling nowadays, and how can we help people to live, you know, the best life possible, to be connected with the rest of the country, with the broader community, without losing their sense of self. And that's my point. That's why I want to pivot into like science communication, and talk more about anthropology, because, you know, it's funny me talking about fishing, but like there's a bigger project, there's a mission, and the mission is to talk about people. So yeah, playing games is funny, but like, you know, that's what I want to do in my life. That's literally what I want to do. It's like I learn about like all those things, all those communities, by reading books, interviewing people, watching films and whatever documentaries, and then I want to share that with you so that you can like also feel what the world and modernity is for those communities. And I'm very glad to have you here. Like, this is, you know, if I can like talk about this and make one person interested in those topics, then I've done my mission basically. So yeah, we'll talk about that a bit more. Like I wrote pages and pages on this. Like this is my life project basically. Like I played a game. There was the Sumida River. I was like, it would be funny to write something about this, and this has been my life for the last almost like 3 years basically. For like the past 3 years, I'm just like researching and talking about rivers, literally like learning the history of people, how they are dealing with things, and then trying to tell those stories to the broader public, and especially, you know, Westerners or like people not living in Japan that don't know about this. Because Japan, it's fun when we talk about anime and stuff, but I think it's even more interesting when we can like connect that to real people. Okay, so I'll catch up on all the messages that you've sent. Cooking with roommates is just awesome. I do agree. This is like cooking with people. It's so fun. Cooking for people, cooking with people, it's such a nice experience. Having a story about an old red and white capped witch to make the idea that red and white mushroom have an evil aura kinda makes it easier for kids. For example, to stay away from poisonous mushrooms without knowing the science, but knowing that they are intrinsically scary because of the legends. This is very interesting because, again, like, and we'll talk about a lot, you know, in traditions, it's like all those like cultural like staples, they are linked to certain ideas. And there's a book, let me show you this book. Can I have the cover of the book, please? Maybe I cannot. Oh, funny, because that's literally like this image is here because it's a review that I wrote for like Future Redeemed, and I use like this book. I shouldn't type Tenko. It's like Lake of Heaven. Will be easier to find probably. Oh, the book is, by the way, on interesting. Okay, so This is like very good. So this is by Ishimure Michiko, and this is kind of the same story. It's like a village that has been flooded, and we're literally following like young man from Tokyo that is going to this village to like throw the ashes of his grandfather into the lake, and then he's meeting the people of this community. And it's a very wonderful book because whatever. You have a lot of like description about the flora and animals, but it's always linked to legends. It's what you're saying. It's like there's a legend and it gives like a special property to the plant, and it makes the land very alive and very easy to understand. And when you read the book, there's this wonderful feeling of, wow, you're really traveling to something a little bit special. You see just like a leaf, a tree, and it has such a big history. And there's like this cherry blossom, this crooked cherry tree at the center of the village that is kind of like the focal point of the community, because like one of the most important people in the village has been left as a orphan here when she was a baby, and it gave like the tree some sort of like miraculous like property. And then people are kind of like behaving with a lot of respect for the land, because the land is alive and has like so many legends. Like there's dragons in the rivers, and for this reason we need like to protect the river and stuff. Like there's the road that is leading to like the hill on top of the village. And on the way, like you have like those trees with a lot of like white flowers that are kind of like always floating in the air around you, and it gave like this road a very specific like image of like contemplation and comfort. And it's just very interesting the way people are talking about fruits or using fruits for certain ceremonies and stuff. It is making the land alive. And then the protagonist at the end is like, I was a stranger. I never went in a village like this before, but it changed my life, because now I can feel like the sound of nature, the traces of nature, and it's making me a better person, because I'm connecting with the environment, but I'm also connecting with those people through a shared, heritage, a shared culture, local culture. And this is a wonderful book. I read that like a few years ago for my research, and it has been like my favorite book since then, because it's such a wonderful book. So yeah. So the name of the thing, you had it. This documentary makes me think of the Sami people in Sweden, Finland, and the history of oppression. Exactly, I think like this is very interesting to talk about that. Like, I want to talk more about the Ainu. I want to talk more about like the all like the native groups in like Okinawa. There's like so many things we can do, and I think it's important for us, when we live in cities, to be in touch with like other cultures, local cultures, because if you live in a city, it's very easy to have let's say very normalized, let's say, and like a normalized identity. It's like the identity of a country, but it's also very abstract and very different from like having local legends that you believe in, and just traditions. Like you don't even have to believe in those things. It's just like they are part of your history and your local identity, and it just create bonds with people. And this book is like wonderful for that. Like it's a wonderful book, genuinely like one of the greatest book I've read in a long time. The name of the book, so it is, Lake of Heaven, by Ishimure Michiko, and translated by Bruce Allen. Amazing book. You can find it like on the internet for, through interesting means, but because I think it's a bit expensive if you want to buy it per se. I can't remember. I don't want to go to my Amazon account because you will see things, but it's so annoying to find. Yeah, it's, kind of like the problem. It's an expensive book. It's a very expensive book. So you have ways to find it on the internet, is what I mean. So feel free to do so. There is some cutting onions in here. I mean, again, like, we need to cry. We need to cry for those people. Just because it's about empathy, and it's about, like, there's a reason why we don't talk about these stories, right? About the stories of destruction, of lost culture, because it's not in the interest of the dominant culture to talk about it. But I think as scientists, as an anthropologist, it's our goal to talk about that, to talk about marginality, about the people that are kind of like on the fringes of society for one reason or another. Basically, the loser of the modernization, of modernity. There's an interesting book also. Let me wait, I need to find the name again because I have like a... No, it's Mizu no Tsoretsu, right? Yeah, I'm afraid we won't find it like this. What was the title in French? Can't remember. Oh, this. So unfortunately, I don't think this has been translated in English. But this book by Akira Yoshimura is a very, very interesting book. So it's like the water trail or something like that, the water convoy, whatever. And this is the story of like a man that goes into like deep in the forest in Japan, and he is going there like to construct a dam. But when they are arriving on the site of the construction, they see that there was like actually a village there. Like a village that nobody knew about, lost in this forest. And people are living just their life, and like the construction crew is like, yeah, we don't care, like let's still, begin the work, and we'll just talk to them to tell them like to go away. But like when they try to communicate with those villagers, nobody is interested. It's like, we don't care. You do what you do. We literally don't care. We won't move. And so it's like, well, I guess we'll just like, build the dam. And it's kind of the story for several months. And at some point, because of the construction and to construct the dam, they have to use explosives to break the mountain. Some of the rocks are falling into the village and crashing down into the roofs of the houses, right? And then the narrator is like, oh, this is very bad. And then he sees like the villagers are just calmly and quietly like repairing the damage. And this is like the cycle for a few months. It's like something gets destroyed in the village because of the construction work, and people are just like repairing things. And at the end, like the narrator goes to the village being like, okay, but like no, the dam is complete and we will flood everything, so you need to get out of here. And like people just go without saying anything. There's like this beautiful scene at the end of like the book where they are just like digging their graves and extracting like all the pots with the ashes of the dead, and they are carrying them with them. And like the book is ending with the people going further into the mountain. They're disappearing with basically like just a few belongings and the ashes of their ancestors, and they're just disappearing in the mountain, probably to create another village somewhere else, away from like the eye of civilization. And then the narrator at the end has this very interesting like thought where he's saying basically, I never exchanged a word with them, like they never answered to me once, but for some reason, seeing them disappear in the mountain like this, I felt like I've never been closer to them. Being like forced to leave one's home, and this is the end. There's no great lesson. I've never felt like that close to them, and it's just making me like so sad that like the government doesn't care, and we're just building something, and nobody cares about those people. And at the same time, those people, they cannot understand modernity. It's just like two worlds, sorry, that cannot like meet each other. People cannot like understand each other. I won't say too much because I don't want to spoil my analysis of my research, but like it's a wonderful book when it comes to that. And I think it's like asking us like how can we bridge like this gap between two cultures that are struggling to understand each other, you know, like a more traditional culture, and like then the kind of dominant culture that stemmed from modernity. And to some extent, I do think that those cultures cannot like fully understand each other, but I, as like a scientist, a researcher, a communicator, my goal is kind of to bridge the gap between the two. It's like we are in the internet right now. I think like it's safe to say that everyone is here is part of like the modernity, and I want to, you know, give a bridge to like those different lives, and yeah, see what like otherness is, other cultures, other people, and how they live their life. And this is like a completely valid way to live their lives. So we'll talk about that like a lot in general, about books, about obviously this documentary, which is like a crazy documentary. There's another documentary, I don't know if I have it on my computer right now, let me check, because it's also very interesting and we can talk a little bit about that before I leave. How is it? I can't remember the name of the, I mean, this is one, it's a Ghibli documentary. Let me check. Give me like 2 seconds to find the, right, just by typing canals, no? Or do I have like, oh yeah, I have it. There. Okay, so this is like, maybe you here do enjoy like Ghibli movies. Ghibli is extremely good, obviously. This is also one project that they did, but this was a documentary. And this was actually a documentary about like a small village that has like a lot of canals. Can we? Okay, you can see here. So they have a lot of canals, and basically at some point it was like very polluted. And they, like there was one man that was in charge of like water, you know, safety in the village or whatever. That was like, it hurts me so much to see our canals being dirty and basically dying. And we need to take measures to avoid that. Like we need to stop throwing garbage in the canals. We need like to treat our water like it's something very important, something that is at the core of our identity. And he did a lot of like talking with the villagers, the town people, to be able like to unite those people into protecting the canals. And nowadays it looks like this. Nowadays it looks like this literally, because people are aware that it's very important, that it's part of their culture. And like it's very cozy, and I think you can see that at the beginning. Like people playing around the canal, and it looks so good. It's like, yeah, they're just playing here, living activity there, and it just like looks so good. It looks so good. And town hall, but you have also like people that are doing this like for free, just because like this is part of the community. So a very interesting like documentary, very, very good. And you have like some animation by Miyazaki, by the way. So this is also like if you enjoy the Ghibli vibes and you want to watch like something that is a documentary, watch this. This is like extremely good. And this is very soothing, very cozy, a very nice experience. It's a bit long. It's like almost 3 hours, but like it's 3 hours of pure bliss, I think. Very, very interesting thing. And I mean, again, I wrote things about that. I don't want to say too much. Just go watch it if you're interested, because it's very good. And let me give you the reference for the people that want to watch it. This has peak aura. This is like pure. This is pure Miyabi moment. So let me go back to this. And this is so the thing. If you want to watch it, this is by Takahata. This was one of the first projects that he did for Studio Ghibli. The story of the Yanagawa's canals that you can visit nowadays because it's still like extremely clean and a big thing in Japan. So very, very interesting. The nostalgia film quality too. Yeah, it has like immense aura. It's like it looks so good. Like my hobbies, I mean, you know, it's literally the best. I cannot resist. I love yapping about people, about rivers, about cooking. So we'll play games next week. We'll finish the game next week. I also want to play some Zenless Zone Zero next week. Because I was like, it's a good way to just like have something in the background and I can yap at the same time because it's easy to play. And we can continue this discussion like... it's very, very interesting. I will also say I've been like translating. I've continued like translating the book. If you remember, before my break, I was. Can I show you? Nope. Oh, this will be slightly annoying, probably. Galileo Tonte. That was a yap of yaps. I mean, we came back with like incredible yap. So I'm translating like this book. And it's very interesting because I've talked about like Ego Higashino, I think, on stream. So detective fiction, but like the social school of detective fiction, what we call the Shakai-ha. Well, yes, there's a trick. This is about like solving the mystery, but this is also about talking about society. And like I'm translating it, and it's very funny. Like the first novel is really about like this idea that you need to be very quiet and calm in Japan, that you cannot raise like you cannot make a scene basically, and like it's someone that is kind of like committing a crime because he was fed up with people for kind of like a petty reason. Well, it looked like a petty reason from a third point of view, but this is very funny. So like the novel is, I think, like 60 pages long. I have translated basically half of it. So it's very interesting. We'll talk about it a bit more when I'll finish the translation. Unfortunately, it's in French because it's very weird for me to translate in English. This is not my native language, meaning that, well, you shouldn't translate in your native language. Most of the... You shouldn't translate if it's not in your native language, just because you are not as good as, I mean, a native language, you will pick up on all the small, unsaid things, wording and stuff. And like in English, like I understand English without any issue. I can speak in English, but translating is another issue. So, but very interesting because it's this social school of detective fiction, and I really like talking about society. So we'll talk about that when I'll I'll be a bit more productive with this translation. Unfortunately, between like research and stuff, like I can only translate, 1 hour or 1 hour and a half per day, which is not a lot. I can only make so much progress per day. But that's basically it. I will have to make like I can do it immediately, to be honest. We can do that before I leave, so I don't have to do it on my own. Let's do like the thumbnail for YouTube, because we are not playing a game, so we need like to change the thumbnail and the title so that people are not getting tricked into something else. So can I like stream my, I don't know, how will we be doing that? I don't know. I guess I can be like kind of like insane and stream like this. You shouldn't see anything problematic, I guess, beyond like the backstages of of the stream. Pose for the camera. Soon, by the way, soon, for like when we'll have like the live 2D model, it will be the case. But like now it just doesn't matter. But can I open my file? I don't want you to see like all my Photoshop file. You should not be allowed to show like to see like all that I do. Why it doesn't want to open? This is crazy. Why? I'm literally losing it. What's wrong with? Oh, am I like in this weird situation where like my computer is like overloaded? Like the... Oh, wait, the stream might be crashing, by the way. See your Mr. Beast face. Never. The chat has crashed on YouTube. I don't see the chat on YouTube, so I think like I'm putting a lot of I don't know. I know I need to do like some cleaning on my C drive, and I fear that like Photoshop is like there's no space available on your C drive, so like the computer is dying. Can I see like on the where is it? I'm a bit annoyed, I will say. Okay, let's do it on like Photopea then. Let's be like literally the laziest people in all time. Okay, it should be good enough. Abandon stream, return to radio. I hope not. I don't even know what's the name of my file. Oh my god. I'm literally like the scuff of the final scuff of the stream. Thumbnail, by the way. Okay, so you can pitch in the thing. I need this to be like a bit bigger for me. Ugh. Else I will struggle to see things. Okay. So we need to choose like an image, like a background image. So the question is, do we want to have like This is just top scum of the meat curry +2. What do we want to have? Like, do we want to have something about food, or do we want to have something about environment and rivers? It's kind of like you can decide. You can decide. I'm open to everything here. Good question. Good question, by the way. I mean, we can take something from the documentary, like the Cozy Ghibli documentary, to be honest. Let me take something that looks like nice. Surely I can find like something interesting. Rivers in a Miyabi thumbnail, never seen before, by the way. Oh, this is good. This might be good. Let me cook something. Okay, so we are back here. I'll put that in there. Ah, my shortcuts when I'm using like Photopea. What about this? This is a bit weird. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't look that good. Let me search for something else, maybe. Oh, this might be interesting. Wait, this might actually be interesting. We need to see if it works like as Oh, I think it works, no? What about this? What about this? Well, which one do you prefer? Like this one or this one? I think like this one is just too good. It's just a bit too good. Because you see people, and we want to see people. That's the point of like talking about rivers. Maybe we should do something like this. Let me check like what the previous thumbnail was in when we talked about the French Revolution. I want to use the same font, by the way. Okay, well, okay, I think I kind of hope that like the font is the same, but I'm afraid I will be disappointed. Oh, that's the logo of the... Oh, the font is good. Oh, they have this font. Perfect. Well, I need to deselect you too soon. We'll call that... what's a good title for this? It's like a talk about rivers, food, and people. Something like this. Oh my god, my computer is dying. It's... what is happening in here? Num num but wet. +2. Okay, I kind of want you to be bigger though. It would be good. Oh yeah, oh, everything is dying. What the heck? I've been like... what is happening? Wait. Why is my computer dying like this? Cozy and descriptive. Okay, wait, we need to reload this page because it's not going well. I need to clean my computer. I have like too much bullshit on my C drive. Oh, I fear everything will explode. I fear everything will explode. Where's my Moving in Japan thingy? So a talk about rivers, food, and people. I want you to be bigger. There, something like this. Then I remove you. I need to open my screenshot thingy to bring this here. But you can't be here. You need to be below. It's a very dramatic music for this thumbnail moment. Okay, put that in here. Something like that. Maybe something like this. I'm a bit lazy to do like a crazy thumbnail, to be like a nice thumbnail. This just like I'm doing the bare minimum is what I mean. I don't know. Something like that maybe. Maybe like something like this. You're fishing for the stream topic, Clara. Trying to find video games. Indoctrinating my chatters to become heralds of the importance of inherited cultural values and some stuff about food. I mean, you have summarized very well my objective. No visual noise. Yeah, I don't... I prefer when things, are clean. Like, as much as, I have no finger pointing to people that are doing crazy thumbnails. This is just not my style. Like, the vibe of the stream is very cozy, so there's no point in going for something crazy. Okay, something like this. Let's touch a little bit like the... Maybe like this. Yeah, okay. I kind of want the drop shadow to be a bit more pronounced. So it's like a bit more readable, and maybe the stroke needs to be like bigger as well. Oh, I can't. What if I put center? No, it doesn't work. I'll do 5, but like I need probably to move the letters away from each other. I don't know, 5 might be too much, but I don't think you can do like decimals in here. No, you cannot. It's acceptable, I guess. Should be enough. Whatever. Okay, so hopefully you don't see anything if I'm doing the exporting. Could you read this from a couple meters away? This... Normally I would like try to check, but like I'm too lazy for it. I'm too lazy for it, I'm afraid. So unfortunately... so I'll just check. I can take like this thumbnail. There was a thumbnail I did about... Is it lost? Oh, because it might be... Okay, so the date of today, and it will be like Zatsudan. Okay, and what I can do also is like to change like the... Oops. To change like the name of my thumbnail for like today, and it will be like for next week, so probably on Friday again. It might be like literally like 7. Storing failed. What the heck? What do you mean it failed? I can literally see it on my computer. I think this cleaning is really necessary. Okay, well, I can close you because you are literally useless. So let's go back in here. So we said 1 week away, which is like the 15th. Yes, okay, perfect. Okay, that was basically it for today. We have been yapping for literally like 3 hours and 20 minutes non-stop. It never stopped. So, I mean, thank you very much for being here. I had like a lot of fun. It has been 3 weeks without streaming, and you know, I was not like afraid or nervous or whatever, but like it was like a really good stream. I'm really glad to have seen everybody, to have met you, Skydrad. I think it has been like very nice having you here, and yeah, that's basically, you know, that's basically what I want to do in this stream. Going forward, like in September and afterwards, we'll have games. I still want to play games, but it won't be like the main thing. I kind of want to just yap about my life and about the rest. So as a token of like, you know, good faith or whatever you want to say, will raid, you may call me Sky for short. This is known knowledge. You will be Sky from now on. We'll just send our raid to May. Unlimited games, unlimited blade works. So let me find May. She is farming on Final Fantasy VII, by the way. So we'll send her like a hello. You don't, again, you know how it works. You don't have to stay if you're busy, do whatever you want. But thank you for today. I'll see you next time. Sky, by the way, if you want to be notified for like streams and stuff, you can use my Blue Sky account where I'm posting my schedule, or you can join the Discord server where I'm posting the schedule also every Sunday for the week after, and every information is there. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.